What's up? What's up, everybody? You know by now, it is Wednesday nights, and we are Brown Sugar Confessions coming to you on Power 1017. How you guys doing tonight? Look at all these beautiful hosts, and we got a special co-host in the house tonight. So you guys better get on YouTube and check us out. We are looking absolutely amazing, and we're all dressed in like our finest purple because we have a special show with a special co-host, and we're going to get into our beautiful Marisa in just a few minutes. So how is everybody tonight? Miss KD, how are you tonight?
Kind of back to normal after the holiday season, kind of getting everything house back in order, getting life back in order, enjoyed a little bit of warm weather after the holidays. As you know, we've had like 60 degree, like 2 weeks of like 60 degrees, and then all of a sudden it just dropped again.
Miss Treese, how are you looking divine back there? Look at you. Look at those little glasses you're wearing. You're too cute.
I am doing well. It is weird. It is 57 degrees up here, so I'm waiting for the aliens and Godzilla to show up and start knocking people off. I don't know what to say about this weather. It's never this warm, ever.
You still got the booty shorts out?
No, actually, those are packed away because we got 9 inches of snow, but now it's 57 degrees.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no. Something finna happen. Everybody get your MREs ready. Get your go bags ready. It's about to pop off.
And Miss T, how are you this evening in Georgia? We missed you last week, sweetie.
Man, well, so I survived Pipe-pocalypse.
Pipe-pocalypse, huh?
Pipe-pocalypse.
What you call it?
Pipe-pocalypse.
Is that what you call it when your pipes burst?
Mm-hmm. Gone through a couple of tornado warnings, and now we are in a flood warning. So we've been going through it.
Not getting a break.
Nah, I mean, we're like one step up from Florida, so we never catch a real break.
So besides the weather, do y'all have anything else to report? I'm just out of curiosity. I mean, we're not the weather girls. You think we are, daggone it. Oh, what? Treese got her hand up. What?
I have something. I get to go down to Delaware to do KD's event with Tommy King. Oh my God.
Yay, that's exciting. All right, because you're coming to Delaware finally.
Yes.
that won't be till April, though, Miss Treese, I think. Right, Katie?
That's in April.
It won't be until April.
Yeah. So you'll be hearing about that, guys. Keep on listening because we've got lots to talk about tonight. And speaking of tonight's show, I am super happy, super excited, and absolutely honored that we have Marisa in the house with us tonight. Marisa, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We are doing good. Are you a little nervous, love, back there?
I'm really nervous. I'm just excited to be here, to meet you guys and everything. So
we are happy that you're here. So let me give you guys a little backstory about Marisa. She's from Dover, by the way. She went to, what was it? West High? Which high?
Caesar Rodney High.
Girl, I'm old. I forgot. Caesar Rodney. I wrote it down too. I was like, what is that? Senior what? Caesar Rodney High is where she went. And she's 26 years old, has a 2-year-old baby girl. We are talking tonight about a subject that many of us have gone through, are in. And that subject is domestic violence. The reason that we're talking about this tonight is there were some images that I saw from one of the local photographers in Milford that he was showing her images. And with permission, I'm going to ask, can I put them up on our YouTube channel and share them? Can I? Is that all right?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Because they are absolutely stunning. And they're of Marisa. In the caption, she wrote a little personal story about how she survived domestic violence, how she's been able to turn this corner in her life and now living her life without fear, without guilt, without shame. And I thought that this would be, number one, the images are just compelling just to look at. They actually just move me so much. But I also know that many people that are in this situation, the new year often brings one to reflect and think, I want to get out of the situation and move on and have a different life for me, for my children, if there's some involved. So I thought that this would be a show to talk about how to get away from the situation of domestic violence in your home. Marisa is going to come on. She's going to share a lot of stuff. So I'm just going to put out a trigger warning that if you're listening to the radio and if you're listening on YouTube, we're all over the place. So make sure you go check us out, right? That this is going to be around DV, domestic violence. We're going to use that quite a bit in our show. We'll say DV. And to let you guys know, to make sure that you're taking care of your emotional health if you're getting triggered by some of the conversation that we're presenting tonight, because we want to make sure that our community is safe emotionally and physically as we talk about this. And the last thing I'm going to mention is that at the end of the show, we're going to have some resources that you can tap into. I'll put those for Delaware up. I'm hoping that Teresa and Ms. T can help us put some resources for those that are in their states, so that you know that you do not have to suffer in this alone. There are some resources. Marisa, let's turn it on you tonight. Number one, thank you so much. I just contacted her, honestly, on was like 3 days ago. It's like, hey, by the way, out of the clear blue sky. And she said yes. So tell us a little bit about you, who you are.
Well, I'm 26. I'm in the Army Reserve right now, and I'm also a molecular technologist up at, I'm not really sure what else you want to know, but I just like to be active in the community. So the spontaneity of you reaching out to me was really exciting. And I was like, oh, I'm trying to get this message out to people, and I'm also writing a book on it. I just want people to know that they're not alone and that they have a way out.
Okay. All right. That is so, so true. So we're going to go back and we're going to talk about, what happened. As I mentioned, trigger warning, make sure everyone's taking care of yourself. If you have any questions, make sure that you email me personally at Valerie@swancenter.com. And if you have questions for Brown Sugar, by now they go to brownsugarconfession@gmail.com. So Marisa, let's go back in time if we can, and let's talk about when you met this individual. So how old were you when you met him?
Oh my goodness. So I was 17. I was still in high school. He was 28. He was a mutual friend of my oldest brother's. And my older brother had just like come back into our lives, and he brought his friend around. And I just felt this sort of like attraction to him. He seemed like a protector. He was like a very masculine man, if you know what I mean. And I just kind of gravitated towards his energy, and he asked me to be in a relationship with him. And I was like, of course, I feel safe with you. And then it was a very quick relationship. And I figured out that that's a big red flag if you move so fast with somebody. I moved in with him while I was still in high school, before I even turned 18. And that's kind of how it started. And my parents were completely okay with it. They were kind of like, praising it.
So your parent, did they know how old he was?
Oh, of course. They've known him before I knew him. They knew him when he was a child. So they kind of didn't really think that age was an issue. My first boyfriend when I was 14 was also 18. So they kind of like allowed that kind of activity.
Okay. All right. And so he's 28. Was he married before? Did he have kids?
No, never married. Didn't have any children.
Okay. All right. So this was your first serious boyfriend?
No, this is actually like my third. I was I was with a high school sweetheart. I was with him for about 3 years before I met him. And I left my high school sweetheart for this man, thinking that he was the safer option, that he would keep me away from all the trouble that my high school sweetheart had involved me in.
Okay. So you moved in with this gentleman, and you were 17 when you moved in with him.
Yes.
Okay. How was it when you first moved in with him? What was the experience like?
It was kind of weird. He was still living with his parents. So we all lived in the same house. I had my own car, so I would just drive. He lived in Harrington and I was still going to CR. So I would drive from Harrington to Cesar Rodney, which is in Camden. And they kind of pushed on the duties of like the household woman onto me. Like I would cook and I would clean and I would take care of the house and whatever I needed to do as kind of a homemaker. At first it was kind of weird. I never left the bedroom, but his parents tried making me feel comfortable and saying like, you can hang out with us. And I was like, okay. And then I found out there was this girl that he would call his little sister. It gets a little deep here. Apparently she was 14. She was a lot younger than me. And there had been rumors that him and her would like hang out when him and I weren't together. So, and I wasn't allowed around her.
You weren't. So were they seeing each other?
I presumed nothing of it because I wanted to trust him. I was very naive and I just wanted to trust, like they're not related, but it's his little sister that he calls her. Like he felt like a protector to her too. But later on, I did find out that there were sexual things between them. So
let's just put it out there. This guy, he was also
he's a predator.
He's a predator. Yeah. He was grooming young girls. So I think this is important to hear for those that are listening for Katie, Marissa, and myself, this is in our own backyard. This is in Dover, the middle of our state. But regardless of where you are, grooming by adults is happening with our children. I have a question for you about your parents. You said your parents were cool with it. They knew how old he was.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I wanted to mention with my daughter. As a mother, I would never allow that sort of activity. My parents would basically praise the fact that, all my life I was dating older men. When I was 14, I dated an 18-year-old. There was older men that they were friends with that would like hit on me before I was even in high school. I know you're making a face, Trace. I'm just like,
Teresa's face gives it away, girl. She don't hide that face.
Yeah, as an adult and a mother now, I would never allow that sort of activity to happen. I would protect my child. I don't know what their thinking was. I guess they also were in the same mindset that, he's older, he would protect my daughter. The old Italian traditional mindset, let me 2 cows for a dowry daughter to this man. That's not how it works today.
Not at all. Now you were in Cesar Rodney, right? Now,
yes.
Did your counselors know what was going on?
Nobody at school knew. I did have a few teachers after the fact. They would see me come to school crying a lot, and I did come to school with bruises. I remember my ROTC teacher specifically always asking me, are you okay? Like, is there anything I can do? You need to stay away from these men. They're no good for you. So they tried. After I did graduate, I had one teacher reach out to me and say that if I needed to, I could stay with her because she knew my home life wasn't very conducive to what I wanted in the future. It was very, very toxic environment.
Wow. So you moved in with him. So there was really, you had family, you have family.
Yeah.
But the support, you mentioned toxic. There was a toxic situation at home for you.
Yeah, it was very toxic at home. There was a lot of drugs involved at my household and I wasn't comfortable. So I thought that this man would take me away from all of that.
When you moved in with him, and it was good, I assume, when you guys first moved in together. Yeah. It was all honeymoon and love and roses.
As I saw it as a child, yes, I
As a
saw.
child, right? You said it. You were a child.
Yeah, but
Yeah, let's put
as
it
an
out there. You were.
adult, I see like red flags early on. He didn't allow me to hang out with my friends. I remember one instance, I was a kid, so I would do stupid things like sit in a school trash can and they would roll me around the hallways. And he like got mad and said that that's their way of trying to flirt with me and have sex with me. So I stopped hanging out with my friends and stopped doing silly things like that. And I became really reclusive.
Okay. So he stopped you from hanging out with your friends. That was a big deal for him.
Oh,
What
yeah.
about your family? Did he ever tell you not to hang out with your family? Cut that tie?
Yes. That was another thing I wanted to mention. Another red flag is they will try and convince you that your family is a problem. Even like I knew that my family was toxic and they weren't good for me, but he wanted to completely cut off communication. So I had to stop talking to my mom and to my dad.
Wow. So you cut them off completely.
I did, yes, for a few months.
So there was no one.
No, I didn't really talk to anybody. That's another thing that happens. In domestic violence or DV is that you definitely don't reach out for help because you don't think there's a problem. You think that you're the problem, that they make you believe that the things that you have done are your issue and you're causing the issues.
Okay. Absolutely. And so take us back for a moment.
Of course.
When was the first time that he actually struck you?
The first time I can't remember because the amount of abuse he did to me left a lot of blank holes in my memory. The most prominent time I remember was right after I graduated high school. I found out that he was sleeping with the underage girl. And I tried leaving him. And that's when do you want me to get in
go
detail?
There. Go there.
So like I found her bra under our bed and then I saw text messages from her saying that they wanted to get pregnant. And I'm like, this child is she's probably 15 or 16 at this point because I was 18. So he threw me across the room and then put me against the wall. Like he grabbed me back and put me against the wall and then took his head and he headbutted me. And then I tried leaving again and he put his hands around my throat and choked me unconscious.
Oh, wow. Wow. And when you were going through this, what was it doing to you? And that was one of the first times. What were you thinking? What would your response be? How did you respond?
During when he was beating me or prior to that, because I didn't really have much confidence before then, which I think led into this. I didn't feel like I had a voice, and I feel like this kind of subdued me even more. And during the beating, I wasn't really thinking. I was just like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. This man was probably like 250, 300 pounds and 6 feet tall. How am I supposed to get him off of me? I thought it was over. Like nobody could hear me scream. So I wasn't really scared though. I kind of just accepted the defeat.
Okay. All right. And what was they often talk about the cycle of abuse, and we're going to go into that on the second half. We're actually going to go into what that cycle actually is. And as I said, guys, I know this is a heavy subject that we're talking about right now. Make sure you guys are taking care of your health, your emotional health. And if you need to email us, please do so at brownsugarconfessions@gmail.com. So when so that was one of the first times that it happened.
Yeah, it was one of the first times, yes.
Okay. Did this happen a lot? Was it once in a while? How often were abusing you?
Physically abusing me, it didn't happen very often. It was mostly emotional and manipulation. The physical happened when I would find out something traumatic or something extreme would happen, like, for instance, me seeing the text messages from the underage girl. Another time was when he put a crossbow to my chest because I was refusing to do something that he wanted and I wanted to leave. And he started saying that I was cheating on him. And I was like, I swear to God, I'm not cheating on you. So he put a loaded crossbow to my chest and was like, tell me the truth. And I was just sitting there crying. I didn't know what to do.
Wow. And did you talk to anybody at that time when this first began to happen?
No, I told nobody. Actually, I didn't start talking about this until a few years ago.
When this was going on, did you find yourself, and I use the terminology, walking on eggshells, trying to find ways not to cause him to break?
Yes, I tried everything. I tried to stay quiet and keep the peace. It was like you said, it's a cycle. It's like very lovey. Things are going amazing. And then it's like a roller coaster.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I hate to go to break, but I think Katie's got this look like, Doc, now we got to go to break and pay some bills. You guys know by now to go ahead and email us at Valerie@Swan Center. Go to brownsugarconfessions@gmail.com to send us your emails. And if you are finding yourself in a DV situation, please reach out to someone. You do not have to suffer alone. And we will be right back.
Welcome back to Brown Sugar Confessions here on Power 1017. One, if you're catching us on the radio, you should definitely be listening to us on Spotify. And if you want to see our lovely faces, hop on over to YouTube and subscribe. It is brownsugarconfessions.com. Before we get into today's topic, I do want to say that this is a serious matter. And if you need help, if you need an ear, there are a couple of places that you can go. Of course, we have our beautiful Doc Val, who you can reach at Valerie@swancenter.com. That is VALERIE at Swan, SWANCENTER.com. Now, if you don't want to write her and you just want to be anonymous, you can call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Again, let me give you that number real slow. 1-800-799-7233. Call someone, get help. Before we get into this topic, I also want to take the moment to tell everyone to please take some deep breaths. Remember to move your head to left and right. Look behind you. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. Remember, you are safe in this moment. And if you are not safe in this moment, get up and get out. If you're not about calling the police and you don't have anywhere to go, we will have a list of shelters that can be found throughout the United States, which we can pull up the website and you can find a shelter to help you out. But please take a moment, get some water in you, hug a teddy bear, grab your crystal, and let's get back into this. I do have a question for you. Oh, wait, before we get back into it, we got to get into a hot topic.
We need a hot
y'all
topic.
Sure y'all want this hot topic right now?
Yeah, girl, we want a hot topic. We all want, yes.
Hot topic is totally inappropriate for the situation at hand, but we're going to go with it. So,
all right, we're going to go with it.
All right, so if you got, are any of you familiar with the Twitter account 6 Brown Chicks?
That would be no.
No? Okay, cool. Good. Makes it even better. So apparently, I guess they were having a Q&A, like what would you do type thing. So I pulled up one of the questions, and I want to know what kind of help or advice would you give in this situation? All right, here it goes.
Here
you ready?
Uh-huh.
Got your drinks?
Let's go for it, Miss T. Kind of
All right,
mad that
here we
she's taking
go.
us down.
Here it is. I did what I had to do. I slept with a much older married property manager because my credit score is bad and I needed an apartment. She hooked me up. I'm seeing other women, and she hinted that she's going to leave her husband for me. I don't want any of that action. Help. What would you do in this situation?
Woo! So let me understand this. So it's a guy, I take it.
I hope it's a guy.
Okay. He slept with his property manager because he didn't have nowhere else to go and he got bad credit.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he got himself an apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And he turned homegirl out, and now she's going to leave her husband for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
we've talked about this on the show plenty of times. Is either they're skinny or they're broke, but they got the best eggplant.
That
we talked about it plenty of time, and this just keeps corroborating the theory.
That eggplant must have been magical because she about to leave her whole husband for him. All right,
it's demon time for old guy.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go last. Katie, what you got? What would you suggest this brother or sister do?
Listen, he needs to be upfront at this point and say, look, it was just a one-time thing. I'm not interested. Please don't leave your husband. Yeah, I don't even know. I would just tell him he needs to apologize. Let's start there. Apologize for taking advantage of this person, taking advantage of their feelings. Apparently, they thought there was more to it if they're ready to leave their significant other for this other person. So they need to clarify their position. They need to be open and be clear. That's about it. And run. Mm-hmm. Maybe leave. Go find another apartment. That's what I would do.
I hope he's got good credit because he's about to get evicted.
No, he's got terrible credit. Remember what he had to do to get the apartment?
His credit score didn't raise up, I guess. He's still out there messing up his credit.
Right.
Tracy, what would you tell the brother to do? I'm just curious. What would you got? I'm sure.
Okay, so either way in this situation, there are two options. One, the person who slept with the property manager was obviously at a quote unquote disadvantaged state. And this person basically gave them an option and they took the option. Or this person saw what the other person was going through and was like, yo, I got my in. Either way, you need to be honest and say, what happened between us happened. This is not going to be a regular occurring thing. Please do not leave your significant other for me because look, my credit ain't good. I have nothing to offer you.
I guess she would know his credit is not good, first off.
Do you know what I'm saying? Be honest. Either way, there was a victim in this. And while they were both consenting adults, one had power in the situation and the other one had less power in the situation. But either way, at this point, you need to be like, look, this is not what I want. You're not going to be happy here. And just avoid them. I don't know. Change your number. Avoid them. Do what dudes do best. Ghost. What is we talking about?
I mean, that's the only thing that I'm like, but he can't really ghost. She's the property manager. She knows where he lives.
Yeah, but there's a way to handle a property manager where you have minimal contact or have contact with, you have other people around you. I've had to do this as a single woman in the past. When I lived in Germany, it was weird. And I had to have somebody all the time around when the property manager came by because of the things he was saying and doing. Mm-hmm. Be responsible and just be honest about your feelings and I don't want to say hopefully you could do this with another property manager, but maybe this just gets through their head and they realize that you got eggplant-matized. And that's all it is.
Yeah, she did. What you call it? Eggplant matized?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we can't say the real word.
That is true. I was like, we got a new word for Wikipedia. Marissa, what would you tell this guy to do? We want to get everyone's vote in on here.
Well, that sounds like some quid pro quo, like this for that. What? That does sound, I agree with Trace. Like, it sounds like she was in a higher position and using him basically. And they were using each other, but somebody had more power and she used that to her advantage.
Yep.
I would just agree, like, leave the place, go sleep in your car or something, find a friend. You
Get
gotta,
out.
like, yeah, don't
Get
be
out.
involved with that person.
Mm-hmm. Because she's exerting her power over him.
Yeah, she sounds obsessed.
She does. He got what's the word Teresa's used? What do you call it?
Eggplant
matized.
Eggplant matized. He certainly got she got eggplant matized. But yeah, I would say the same thing. Number one, you should have been honest at the beginning that this was just a one-time thing, or you were just playing around and not leading her on to believe that it was something more than it wasn't. Because if she's ready to leave her husband, then there must have been conversations that he had with her about a future or something. She just didn't get it in her own head unless, she's that kind of woman.
I'm not even going to say that because I've had people come up. Okay. We know that I've had my past.
Story
We
time.
know that I've had my past, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in my past, I have slept with people and it was just a regular physical thing. And people took it to the next level when I was just like, yo, that was fun for like a week and I'm done. But they wanted a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they ended up like stalking me. And I'm just like, they were like, I'm in love with you. And I'm like, girl, I just banged you like 3 times. Like that was it. Like, we're over. Like that was fun. But we're done. So it could be like they may have had the conversation, but I do know people that will take having intercourse as a natural progression in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That is
it's not.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, I would say he needs to be honest and, let her know that don't leave your husband for me. Number one, I got bad credit. Number two, I'm not moving. Number three, I have no interest in you. Really, I'm not the one. So we want an update on this one, Miss T. So hopefully you can get an update on this guy.
They update this. Like I said, this was on the account of 6 Brown Chicks, so I don't know if they're ever going to get an update, but if they do, I will look for it. The only thing I would tell this dude is, like, honestly, just know when you screwed up and leave. Mm-hmm. Like, no questions asked. At this point, just run. I hope you got a passport, my guy. Don't go back to the city that you were living in.
Not a passport.
Because at this point, property, this is a property manager. You can't, like, when you have to fill an application, it's like, where have you been living for X amount of years? You can't put that place on your application. Run.
Right.
Just run, my guy. Run.
Yeah, that's
hopefully
it.
You got at least a good friend or two that'll, like, house you for a couple of weeks so you can get yourself together. But yeah, just leave your city, leave your state, probably leave the country.
Probably, yes. Just go somewhere.
Just go. Be free, my guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's get back into our conversation about DV with the lovely Marissa here. And Tracy, didn't you have a question that you wanted to ask?
I do. My question is, if you guys were living with his parents, where were his parents when he was like grooming you and grooming the 14-year-old? Like, to me, that I don't want to say common sense is irregular, but this is bananas to me.
This tea is piping hot. Let me tell you, they were there, obviously. Actually, his father was involved in some of the sexual abuse that was going on with me. Your faces.
No, you need to roll that one back. The father was involved. So there was also sexual abuse.
There was a lot of sexual abuse. And the father was involved. I believe that his mother and father did not know that he was sexually involved with the 14-year-old until he got her pregnant, which was shortly after our relationship ended. Yeah, when his mother would leave, they would get me drunk and do things to me.
So the father and the son would abuse you.
Yes.
Well, we know where you learned it from.
Yeah, and when I was in the bedroom and he was physically abusing me, the father would not come out of his room to come help me. And when I would scream for him.
They knew about the physical abuse, and they were a part of the abuse that you went through. And his mother did nothing?
Nothing. They were willfully ignorant.
Wow.
I have to say right now, I wish them all ill.
His mother died of cancer.
Oh, so it worked already.
Oh my
Dang.
God.
We're not laughing, Trees, but I just did a little giggle there because you just kind of silly. But yeah,
I'm sorry.
So I do have a question. Has anyone been arrested for any of this?
So we broke up twice. The first time I struggled to get away. I left in a hurry, and then we got back together for about a few weeks. And my mother, I started opening up to her about some of the things that he had done. So she took it upon herself to Facebook message him. This is 2016, mind you. So she Facebook messaged him and said, I know everything that you've done. So he came to me at work. I worked at this little Valero shortstop in Harrington at the time. He came to me while I was cashiering and told me that he was going to kill me and my whole family. So I called my mom crying, and we called the police. We called the Harrington police, and they said that they had all of the evidence they needed to put him away, and they've been trying to put him away for years. And you know what I said? I said, no. I said, I don't want to ruin his life.
You know, go ahead, Therese. You had a comment, you're just breathing.
I'm sorry. I'm just breathing. I really am breathing.
I hear that when, going through my own DV situation and hearing from my clients that the concern isn't about them. It's about them not wanting to destroy the abuser's life. Them not wanting to see him get in trouble.
Yeah.
Them finding excuses. Well, he's had a rough life. He's been abused himself. His parents. I mean, the stories would go on and on and on. And I hope that anyone that's listening to this message right now from me hears my voice. I tell you, stop the madness. Stop the cycle. You have to love yourself enough to put you first, because he is not putting you first. I don't care if his mama is a one-legged crack hoe. I do not care. And she's going through whatever. I could care less. I don't care what he grew up in. If they are abusing you, you have the right to preserve your life and your emotional well-being. You have that right. I don't know if I could say that word, but I just said hoe on the radio. I just said hoe. One-legged crack hoe. I just came right out. It did. It just came right out. Oh, well, I'll probably get a fine for that one, but it be what it be. I'll pay it for this show.
We apologize.
But you get me, right? You feel me?
Those are listening to this podcast for this radio show right now.
You feel me? So, Marisa, so when did you, the abuse was going on for how long for you?
Almost 2 years.
2 years. Okay. When did you say enough is enough?
That's hard to say because it's a cycle. You get out of it and then you get roped back into it. It's very difficult. I had to have my parents keep me from him and help me put in a PFA, which is a protection from abuse order, which really does nothing, by the way. It's just a piece of paper. He could have still tried to attack me if he wanted to.
Mhm.
What I did though was I just stayed with my family and I had them reassure me that I wasn't doing anything wrong because I still had it in my mind that I was the issue. And that really hasn't gone away until a few months ago. So I've been living with this for 8 years trying to get over it.
Wow. So your parents did reconnect with you, and they stood up. It sounds like at one point in time.
They tried their best at
Okay.
that time.
At that time. Okay. And so I know Katie asked you about the cops and you explained that. Did you call the cops more than once on him? Were they involved?
No, I only called them once. That one
Okay.
time when I was at work.
Mm-hmm. And so when they did they pick him up?
No, because they asked me to put him in jail, and I said no, I'm not pressing charges.
Right, you're not going to press charges, right? Mm-hmm. And what was what was your thought process? Why didn't you mentioned that you didn't want to hurt him, but were you feeling sorry for him? What was going through your mind? Where were you?
I just understood that people put themselves in terrible situations. People make mistakes, and that was like the thing that was going through my mind. As an adult now, I realize there are certain mistakes that cannot be undone and that people should think about what they do before they do it. And that's more than a mistake what he did. He was being a pedophile. He was putting his hands on a child. I don't think that should be forgiven.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that apparently you said that the cops knew of his behavior, his predatory behavior,
right?
Because they had a file on him.
Yes, but they had no concrete evidence, but I took pictures of my face after he beat me, and that was evidence enough for them, and the threat to kill me and my family.
Right, right. And your choice not to prosecute because you didn't want to, have his life turn upside down.
Right.
And so going back to the question I asked, I know you can't pinpoint it, but what was going on with you when you said, okay, I need to get out now? What happened during that time?
I deserved better. I finally started to see that, I didn't want to die. Because that was the major thing. I accepted, oh, if I stay with him, I might die, or, oh, this might get better, but I don't know what's going to happen next. I started reassuring myself that I have a future and I'm meant for more than this.
When you made the decision to leave him, what resources did you use, or did you use any resources that are available?
I didn't go to anybody. I was really alone. I was really isolated. My mother kind of was isolated. So what I did to cope was I wrote about it. I used writing as an outlet. I had a lot of panic attacks, and I started going to therapy 3 years ago, and that has really helped.
And when you said therapy, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Babe.
I just wanted to ask a question really quickly of all the ladies in the podcast, including Marisa. How many of us in this podcast have experienced domestic violence?
Oh, hands are raised. If you're not, everyone's hands raised, by the way. You can't do it easy.
If you don't know, there are 5 people on this podcast. If you're listening on the radio and if you see us on YouTube, there are 5 hands raised. You are not alone. This is not your fault. That chicken couldn't have been cooked faster. The clothes couldn't have been cooked faster. You couldn't have tiptoed around this person any softer. It was going to always happen. Do you know why? Because it was in their mindset to do it to you. This is not your fault. Nothing you could have said or done would have changed this. Do not, and I'm speaking this from the bottom of my heart, do not wear that. Do not.
Absolutely.
Get out.
Absolutely.
Get out, because I think we've all been in one. And there has been a time in our relationships that we thought this could get better, or I'm okay with this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with this cycle. That is not normal. That is not okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is horrific. And for
Absolutely
anybody listening to this, please know that from the bottom of my heart, I want you to get out and I want you to get better.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to get healed. I want you to see that you are worthy of the absolute depths of love from someone without being triggered.
Absolutely. Well, Marisa, I'm going to tell this to you. And this is, number one, I just commend you and I'm just honored that you would come on the show and
Thank
share
you.
your story.
No, I appreciate you.
Oh, we appreciate you because this was your ability just to go there. I'm forever touched by your story, and as all of our hands were raised that had been in a situation, we're going to list the resources up there for people to check out. Marisa, I am so happy, and I know these other four ladies here. I just met you that we're all out of that situation now, and I just want you to close out. How does Marisa feel today?
Today I feel at peace with myself. I just started feeling this way within the past couple of months and focusing on myself and my daughter and just knowing that I can't change the past, but I can make my future better and that there's nothing I can do. I accept who I am and I love myself now.
And on that note, we are Brown Sugar Confessions. And you know what we say to you out there? To always stay safe and play safe. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye for now, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of Brown Sugar Confessions on Power 1017. Go to our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram page at Brown Sugar Confessions to like, share, and follow. Stay safe and play safe. We'll see you next week. Bye for now.